I'm going to blow your mind right now. 90% of traders lose everything, but the number one reason isn't what you think. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the number one reason traders lose everything. And if you don't know this already, almost every single trader watching loses everything at some point in their life. Because remember, trading isn't just gambling. Trading is the highest form of entrepreneurship, and with great risk comes great reward. So whatever you do in life, you've got to understand that there are risks involved. Now let me tell you a quick story. There was a guy who was trying to make it as a day trader. Now this guy, he had a good head on his shoulders. He was smart, but he was also impulsive and impatient. Okay, so he started trading with a few grand. He wasn't risking much, maybe 1 or 2%. And he started making some easy profit. And after a while, he felt like he was invincible. He felt like he was the greatest trader of all time. And when he started looking at other people's cars, he said, you know what? These people have nice cars, but I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. So he takes his savings and he goes and buys himself a brand new Lamborghini. He's driving around feeling super cool, thinking he's hot stuff, and he feels like he's made it. Now he says, I know what, I got to start putting more money into this trading thing because I want to be able to support my lifestyle. So he goes from risking 1 or 2% to risking 5% on a trade. Well, you know what happens? He ends up losing the trade. He loses 5% of his entire account. Now he's devastated. But he tells himself, no, you're still up. Don't worry about it. So he decides to keep on trading and try to make back what he lost. Well, guess what happens? He ends up losing again and again and again. He continues to chase his losses and ends up blowing his entire account. Let's dive into the number one reason traders lose everything. Are you ready for this? Poor risk management fueled by unrealistic expectations. Here's a crazy stat. Most traders risk 5 to 10 times more than they should because they want to get rich overnight. Why does this happen? Well, first of all, we live in a society where everyone is trying to get rich quick. We see it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Everyone's trying to flex on social media. They want to show off their expensive cars, their designer clothes, their huge mansions. And it's the same thing with trading. People see that other traders are making millions of dollars from trading, and they think that they can do it too. But what they don't realize is that those traders have been trading for years and years. They've made millions of mistakes, and they've learned from every single one of them. But people want to skip the process. They want to get rich quick, and that's why they put themselves at serious risk when they trade. Second of all, people are just plain greedy. They want more and more and more. They never want to be satisfied. Once they make a few $1,000s from trading, they think that they're hot stuff. They think that they're the best trader of all time. But you know what happens? When you're greedy, you end up losing it all. So let's go back to our story. So this guy starts trading. He makes a few $1,000s. He thinks he's hot stuff. He starts taking bigger and bigger risks, and eventually he blows his entire account. Let's say he had a $100,000 account, okay? So he loses 5% on a trade, okay? He's down to $95,000. But instead of cutting his losses and moving on, he wants to chase his losses. He wants to make back that 5%. He keeps on trading, and guess what happens? He ends up losing another 5%. He's down to $90,000. But he still wants to chase his losses, right? So he trades again, he loses again. He's down to $85,000. But he still wants to chase his losses. So he trades again, he loses again. He's down to $80,000. And you know what happens? This cycle continues until he blows his entire account. One of the biggest mistakes traders make is chasing their losses. When you chase your losses, you're basically trying to make back what you lost instead of focusing on making new profits. You're stuck in the past. And when you're stuck in the past, you're not focused on the present. And that's when you end up making even bigger mistakes. So when you chase your losses, you're basically trying to beat the market. But you know what happens when you try to beat the market? You end up losing even more money. The market is a very powerful force. It's not something you can beat. It's something you have to respect. And the only way you can do that is by following proper risk management rules. When you chase your losses, you're basically trying to beat the market. But you know what happens when you try to beat the market? You end up losing even more money. The market is a very powerful force. It's not something you can beat. It's something you have to respect. And the only way you can do that is by following proper risk management rules. One of the golden rules of risk management is to only risk 1 to 2% per trade. Now, some people might say, but Jason, what if I have a losing streak? Well, you know what happens when you have a losing streak? You lose money. But if you only risk 1 to 2% per trade, you're not risking much. You can take the L and move on. But if you risk 5, 10, 20% per trade, you're risking a lot. And when you have a losing streak, you're going to get wiped out. Another golden rule of risk management is to always use a stop loss. Now, some people might say, but Jason, I'm a day trader. I don't need a stop loss. Well, you know what happens when you day trade without a stop loss? You lose money. Always use a stop loss, and also set realistic targets. Don't try to make back what you lost. Just focus on making new profits. When you're in a casino and you lose all your money, you don't keep on gambling, right? You walk out of the casino and you go home. But when you're trading, it's like being in a casino, but you're in your own home. And what do people do when they're in their own home? They keep on trading. They think they can make back what they lost, but they never do. Here's a simple plan that you can follow to avoid losing everything. First of all, decide how much money you're going to withdraw each month. For example, let's say you're going to withdraw $1,000 per month. Then you need to work out how many months of living expenses you have in your trading account. So if you have $10,000 in your trading account, you have 10 months of living expenses. Now you need to make sure that you never touch that emergency fund. You only use the money you're willing to lose. And if you ever have a losing streak, you don't panic and you don't chase your losses. You just stick to your plan. You know, trading isn't about how fast you make money. It's about how long you can stay in the game. And that's why you need to be smart about your risk management. You can't just go around throwing your money away. You need to respect the market and you need to follow proper risk management rules. If you do that, you'll be able to stay in the game for a long time. You know, amateurs focus on profits, but professionals focus on risk, and that's what you need to do. You need to focus on risk. Ask yourself, how much am I risking on this trade? Is it worth it? And if the answer is no, then don't take the trade. So remember, if you want to be a successful trader, you need to be smart about your risk management. Don't chase your losses, don't gamble with your money. Focus on making consistent profits over a long period of time. If this opened your eyes, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a trader you care about. Next, we'll break down the prop firm dream exposed, what they don't tell you. See you tomorrow.